There's 3 P's that you gotta annihilate, crush, or destroy if they're getting in the way of your progress in a relationship or your career or your happiness or your health. These are the 3 P's that make learned helplessness. Number 1, you think the problem is permanent. Once you've had enough disappointment, sometimes your brain doesn't want to get disappointed, so it's a permanent problem. Please write down, no problem is permanent, only your soul is permanent. Every problem can be solved. The pandemics are not forever, winter is never forever, war is not forever. Nothing's forever. Everything changes, everything eventually ends, and something new begins. That's part of life. Those are the seasons of life. But when you start believing the problem's permanent, it is, because it's self-fulfilling. The second P that keeps people in learned helplessness so they don't change, this belief's gotta be annihilated, broken through, and that it's pervasive. That means that because my relationship's not great, my whole life is horrible. Then you're forgetting you do have health, or you do have friends, or you do have a job, or you do have whatever. I can breathe. Or my finances are messed up, so my whole life's over. It's not true. It's not permanent, it's not pervasive. And the third one is we think the problem is personal. There's something wrong with me. And if you start believing that, it becomes self-fulfilling. You give up. See, I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not smart enough, I always screw it up. So those 3 P's gotta be destroyed.
1,000 cuts. Let me explain that here. So we need to keep it simple, right? The first thing I want to share with you is understanding that you need to make it difficult for people to contact you. This is controversial, I know. People are like, what? No. Look, I'm telling you, this is something that you need to do if you actually want to be productive, especially because we always have our phones on us all the time. Either put your phone into airplane mode, do something to get your phone out of the picture when you're trying to be productive so that you don't have notifications going all the time. I don't give out my phone number to people. I think if people have access to me, it just kind of, you get pulled in all these different directions. Especially if you're trying to run a business, I think giving away your phone number, like signing off on your emails with your phone number, is a huge mistake because you end up just getting bombarded by phone calls and emails, and everyone wants your time and your attention, and it's very difficult to actually get anything done when people want your time.
Step 1 is obsess, get totally focused, unleash your desire, that gives the energy. Step 2 is not waiting. It's massive action, keep changing your approach until you find effective execution. If you're running east looking for a sunset, I don't care how positive you are, you're not gonna see the sunset. It's the wrong strategy, right? It's just not gonna happen. So you gotta have a proven strategy, and you can get there faster, same way I've done it with these books, is saying, I could go this, or I could spend 4 years, interview 50 of the smartest people in the world, all billionaires that started with nothing, and find out what they did, and compress decades into days. That's really the purpose of everything that I do. So when you have that plan and you keep changing your approach, I always tell people, how long would you give your average kid to learn how to walk? Before you turned to the kid and said, dude, it's never gonna happen, you're not a walker, just give it up, right? People go, you're crazy, my kid's gonna keep trying until. Well, that's really step 2. You keep changing your approach until you find it. And then the third step to achievement really is, as simple as it may sound, if you're obsessed, you know what you want, you're taking massive action, maybe you modeled somebody, figure out the right action so you get there quicker, and you're executing, you still need a little grace. Some people call it luck, call it God, but I really believe that there's the part we do and then there's the part that comes to us. But I do know grace shows up a lot more when you do the first 2 steps on your own, and grace shows up a lot more when you acknowledge grace in your life. When you acknowledge that I was born in a world where I didn't have to build this internet that I can pull out of my pocket and answer anything on earth. I'm driving on streets I didn't pave. I'm reading books I didn't have to write. That's the gift of our lives. And I think when we experience that grace, we don't just experience more achievement, but we start to experience more.
It's a true story, although sometimes it's hard even for me to believe it. But we had already done the Fantastic Four, and I think maybe the X-Men, I can't remember the order, but my publisher came to me and he said, Stan, I want you to come up with another superhero. So I said, okay, went home, and when my publisher said do something, I'd better do it because I wanted to keep my job. I thought, what can I come up with now? And the most important thing in a superhero at first is the superpower. Once you get that, everything else comes along. So I thought, what power will I give a new guy? And I saw a fly crawling on the wall. And I said, hey, if I could get a superhero that could stick to walls and crawl on them, man, that would be cool. And no, I'm lying to you. I don't think the word cool was in use then. I probably said it'll be groovy. I'll never lie to you. So I thought that was good. Now I needed a name. But let's see, Fly Man, Mosquito Man. I got down to Spider-Man. Spider-Man. It just sounded dramatic. So okay, I had my hero, I had his power, his name, and then I figured just for fun, I'm gonna give him personal problems. Because except for you people who are that your lives are perfect, but most other people have personal problems. And then I thought I'd make him a teenager, because there were no teenage superheroes that I knew of at the time. So armed with all that wonderful material, those great ideas, I ran into my publisher's office and I told him. This was my reaction, the reaction he gave me. Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. First of all, and he started to give me his, because he's a very logical man, very intellectual. First of all, people hate spiders, so you can't call a hero Spider-Man. You want him to be a teenager? Teenagers can only be sidekicks. And you want him to have personal problems? Stan, don't you know what a superhero is? They don't have personal problems. Well, I left the office disappointed, but obviously a much wiser man. And I couldn't get Spider-Man out of my system. So we were about to kill a magazine. I think it was called Amazing Fantasy. It wasn't selling well, and we were sending the last issue to press. When you do the last issue of a magazine, nobody cares what you put in it because the book is dying. Just to get it out of my system, I put Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy, featured him on the cover, forgot about it. A month later, all the sales figures came in. My publisher came racing into my office. Stan, you remember that character we both loved so much, Spider-Man? He said, let's do him as a series. Now, why am I telling you this? Besides the fact that I have to kill a little time. If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it.